This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallmon.
What's up, everyone? It is episode 149 of Small Talk. Ceruti and Smallmon are here. And I think, Steve, that we need to kick this off with the fact that we had a Freaky Friday experience.
We did.
You acted as me for a day, and I essentially acted as you for a day. So we need to break this down. So basically what happened is last week we were trying to find a date to tape, and I texted Steve, what does your availability look like for this week? And he goes, I can't do it. I think it was Thursday night, right? I can't do it Thursday night because I'm going to Fenway to a Yankees Red Sox game. I went, what?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yes, baseball. And then he goes, what about Wednesday? I go, I can't do it Wednesday because I'm going to Kansas City for the Sporting KC match.
Yep.
So we need to do a breakdown here, like, I don't know what we want to call it, a report card, I guess, of the Freaky
of
Friday
our experiences.
Yeah. So
what's that show? Trading Spaces, when they traded like the dudes traded wives, right? And they went, well, no, what was the show where they went
Marriage swap?
No,
wife
there was
swap.
Was it wife swap? Yeah, something like that, where they would basically put one in, with another family, and the other mom would go to the other family, and they would have to like
I think it was wife
parent
swap.
the kid, but the other dad would still be around. It'd be weird. This is kind of like a similar situation to that. Like, we were both out of our elements and in the other person's element, trying to like survive and navigate. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Michelle. I'm not Mr. Baseball. I've been critical of baseball. I have not really watched baseball for the better part of a decade, really, after growing up a pretty big baseball fan. And I've grown up going to a lot of Red Sox games, and I have family that are both Red Sox and Yankees fans. I'm very aware of the rivalry and everything that goes into it, but I just haven't been into it. And I had a blast. I had a great time at Fenway on Thursday night. I did. I actually had a really, really fun time. But I guess there's a couple reasons why. One, and I'm interested in hearing about your soccer experience too, because I'm actually more interested in hearing about that than I am talking about my baseball experience.
We're going to stick on baseball.
Let me just keep going here for a second, because there's a lot of like really cool things that happen. Obviously, it's Red Sox Yankees. It's a night game, Fenway Park. It's a beautiful night in Boston. And so that's great right off the bat.
Right.
Number two is we are sitting in an empty, essentially like box, because a studio box or whatever you would want to call it, like broadcast booth, because the Yankees, there weren't a lot of New York media there because they're not allowed to travel through baseball, which is kind of bullshit actually. Because there was a packed house. There wasn't a seat available. It was sold out, and meanwhile, like some media members can't travel, which doesn't make any sense logically. But we were able to basically probably sit like right where the Yes broadcasters were supposed to sit and watch the game in this awesome booth by ourselves, right above home plate. So that was cool too. The only problem was there was a rain delay for an hour.
Oh no!
And it went into extra innings. So everything
didn't it have a dramatic ending? Because I think I checked the box score the next day because I knew you were at the game, and I was like, oh damn, Ceruti saw a good one.
It did. So everything I hate about baseball, it's too long. Basically, it's too long, and nothing happens. That did sort of happen. But it was great because I got to see the runner on second rule and extra innings, which was really cool, which I didn't know anything about. I was like, what the hell? Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about this. So basically, you just get a free run in extra innings. And if you don't score, you automatically lose, essentially, because if you don't score, the chances of you winning. I didn't hate it. So John Yastrzemski, who's the guy that I work with on the New York show, we were there together. He has talked about how he wishes it was started in the 12th inning and not the 10th inning, which I think there's some logic there. That does make sense. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, and it ended the game very quickly.
It usually does.
And what was also crazy was the Yankee pitcher who was in the 10th inning. He could not throw he could not even reach the plate. He was clearly having a meltdown in front of everyone, and he basically wild pitched a run in, and then almost wild pitched another run in, and then they ended up scoring 2 runs and they won the game. So it was a very exciting game. I'm not gonna lie. I had a great time. I wish it was a little bit shorter. The drive to Boston for me is not very bad. But there's a huge difference in me going to one baseball game, one really, really good, meaningful baseball game, Red Sox Yankees, and me being invested in 162 games, most of which I don't care about, not even, and watching them on television and having to follow that entire thing. So I think one-off, I had a great time, but I still don't think I'm in on baseball year round. Sorry.
Damn it. I thought for sure you would at least give it a little bit more love and a little bit more interest.
Well, I'd be more open to going to more games, because it's just fun. It's fun. You have a beer. I didn't drink there, but like, if I would, you're out with a bunch of people, you're having a good time. It's a hot day. You're chanting. Although I'm anti-wave, and the wave was very much going there. I think the wave sucks.
The wave sucks.
But
I hate the woo. The woo is number one for me.
What's the woo?
The Ric Flair woo.
Oh, everyone who does the Ric Flair woo. I mean, that is so. I'm so over the woo. Like, it was
so
cool 5
lame.
years ago, and now everybody does it for everything. It's like, oh, everyone's a huge Ric Flair fan.
Lame.
Anyway,
yeah. So the woo number one, the wave number two.
Yep.
Also, really quickly, number three. Actually, I might put this in between the woo and the wave.
Okay.
Steve, legitimate question, real question for you. What is it about grown men knocking over beers, sacrificing their bodies, looking like real assholes in their quest to get a free t-shirt that's being slung at them or thrown into the crowd? Watching grown ass men die for a t-shirt that they A, don't know what it looks like, B, don't know if it will fit them, and C, is likely a pretty lame shirt. They go bananas trying to get the shirt.
Doesn't fit you either. It's probably like an XL. That's why I never go out for those shirts, because they're always like XLs, and I'm not an XL. So,
but people go nuts trying to get the shirts.
I agree. I mean, now as someone in college, I would do just about anything for a free t-shirt. But I feel like I've matured since then, and I'm not going to start elbowing kids and babies and mothers in the crowd just because I'm a 40-year-old man with a beer and I want to get a t-shirt that I'm never going to wear.
Why would you want to spill your $12 beer?
Also a great point. I've never understood that, but I do understand the t-shirt thing up until a certain point. Up until like once you get into your like early 20s and you're out of college, the free t-shirts shouldn't be as exciting as they used to be.
Yeah, maybe the rule is once you're a salaried employee, you should not go for the free
That's
t-shirt.
True. Yeah. There was a good chunk in my college career, in my time, I guess in my career, like I was doing anything other than like, playing beer pong and hanging out. But I was sick of beer pong, no big deal. But there was a good chance where like 90% of my wardrobe was free t-shirts.
It's very college of you.
Yeah.
I love that. Can I also float one more theory by you?
Yeah.
I would say from a television consumption standpoint, if we're talking about the four major sports in America, people would rank them NFL, NBA, baseball, hockey, right?
Wait, repeat that.
From a television consumption standpoint and a popularity standpoint, if we're ranking the four major sports in America, team sports, you would go NFL, NBA, baseball, hockey, right?
I actually think you can make an argument you flip baseball and NBA, because the NBA ratings did not have a great year. Baseball is actually does sneaky rate well. So in one way or the other, it's NFL first, hockey last.
Baseball regionally rates crazy good. Now, nationally, that's kind of a different story. But I think, when you're watching your home team for 162, you're not really checking in on other teams on Sunday Night Baseball, right? If your team's playing on Sunday, you're likely not going to watch Sunday Night Baseball as well. No one has 8 hours in the day to watch two baseball.
This isn't like the NFL where, that's the thing, is like you can make an excuse for watching all of these NFL games on one day a week, but you can't do that for baseball every day.
Correct. So my theory is, if you take that order and you flip it upside down, that is the order that these are experienced best in person. I think nothing beats a live hockey game. Watching it on TV versus being at the arena and watching hockey live, way better time. Okay. I would say number 2 on that list is baseball. Being outside, as you mentioned, hot dog, a beer. Just when you go to a baseball game, you settle in to experience it. Then I would say NBA and then NFL, because at least NBA, you're up and close watching these athletes and seeing them in person is spectacular. Where the NFL, you're in these monstrosities of stadiums. It's not very intimate. You don't really get to see the action as much. There's so much dead air time because of television commercials at a live NFL game. I actually think sometimes going to a live NFL game
sucks.
Totally sucks. So I think it's interesting that from a TV perspective, it's, hockey doesn't get as much love. But when you're there and you are watching guys fight and get slammed up against the glass, and just the physical, what's the word I'm looking for? It's amazing to watch hockey players in real life.
You get a sense of just how hard and tough that sport is.
Oh my God, the speed,
that on television you just don't get. Yeah.
Right. The skill.
I'll agree with you. NFL is definitely the worst.
Yeah.
Football is a product to be watched on your couch. Like, it just is. I'm sorry. And I know we're two people not from the South, although I guess Missouri kind of ish. I know you're not technically claiming Missouri, but you're in that area.
Hey, we're in the SEC. Okay.
Kind of.
Missouri's
you're in the SEC. But so tailgating, I get that. That's a part of the experience. I'm talking about the game itself.
Right.
Football games are boring. There's actually not a lot of action during football games either.
No, I think there's like 11 minutes total of action.
Yeah. So I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, I'm not a huge hockey guy either, but I get the intrigue, and I get like whatever it is around, like the aura around hockey and why it's just like cool to see live. And I would put NBA higher because I just think like a good NBA, if we're talking like a good game too, like we're not talking just some bullshit game, because I don't know who cares. If we're talking about like a good game, NBA to me, especially where you're sitting, if you're sitting like courtside or something, which is what's up. Done that twice, I think, maybe.
Whoa.
Gifted to me, no big deal. But
wait, hold on. I want to hear about that. When have you sat courtside twice? I would love to sit courtside.
One time was definitely Celtics Magic, which was awesome.
In Boston, I assume.
In Boston, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't make the trek down to Orlando. I try to get up to Boston to see a Magic game at least once a year. It doesn't always work out well. And then what was the other one? Actually, it was a college hoops game. It was a UConn game. Sorry, so it was a college basketball game. And that was awesome too. And I'm not even a huge college hoops guy, but it was like a lot of fun. It's different to see it on the court from that perspective. But I actually think basketball is still really fun when you're in like the 300 level in the upper deck in the last row, because you get this cool view of the entire court. And it's kind of weird because depth perception is off, but you get more of a feel of the crowd, and you can kind of like observe the crowd and see everything that's going on. And you can absorb these major moments in a way that you've like really, really can't in any other sport. So I'm sure you can say the same thing about baseball. If you're in the way top corner. Hockey too. But I would still say I think I would go basketball one. But I totally listen. If you ask me, hey, let's go to a Cardinals game and have a good night, I would have no problem with that. That would be fun. I wouldn't say that isn't fun. I just don't want to follow the team year round. I'm sorry.
I got to take you to a Blues game, Steve. You need to hear the goal horns. That is what's so fun about being in an arena during a hockey game is when they score.
No, I would imagine so. I mean, we used to go to Whalers games when I was a kid, and then left in '97, and I just kind of turned my back on hockey from there. But I listen, I know hockey's fun to watch in person. Everyone says it's the best sport. Like playoff hockey is just a different animal.
Oh, it's the most intense thing I've ever experienced in sports is playoff hockey. And I've been to Super Bowls. I've been to national championship games. I've certainly been at playoff baseball games. Playoff hockey takes it to the next level. It is unbelievable. And imagine that the Blues playing in a playoff hockey scenario in St. Louis when they had never won a Stanley Cup before.
Yeah, no, it's that.
I wanted to throw up every day. I was like, I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown every day for like a month and a half.
Yeah. But okay, really quick though, couldn't you say though, like you would say that that hockey moment, like that tense hockey moment is bigger? Because there were some really intense moments in this baseball game, right? Where, runners on first and third, 2 outs, 1-run lead. And, there's I get it. I get what you said. There's the anticipation for every single pitch, and there's this drama building. You don't get that every game, and that's the problem. But I did get it in the game that I was at, so I was lucky. But that is almost as tense as it gets, because we all know, like baseball, what's the old saying, that it's a team sport. It's an individual sport masked as a team sport, because it really is just like one guy versus one guy.
Right.
It's the pitcher versus the batter. But that drama and that buildup, if it's a real big situation, it's a cool way to feel a stadium and feel like a vibe in the park.
Oh, I love being at the ballpark for a good pitcher's duel too. Mm-hmm. Where, at any moment something can shift and these two guys are going at it. Like my favorite game outside of Game 6, 2011 was Game 5 NLDS, Cardinals, Phillies, Chris Carpenter, Roy Halladay, pitcher's duel, the ultimate showdown. Cardinals won.
Not Matt Carpenter, Chris Carpenter.
Chris Carpenter, my favorite Cardinal of all time.
Matt Carpenter, my favorite Cardinal of all time.
Well, what about Colt Wong?
No. He's not on the team anymore. What am I supposed to do?
I thought you were on Nolan Arenado now because you look like him.
Maybe, but I can't turn my back on Matt. He was the guy I picked from day one. Colton doesn't play on the team anymore, and Arenado just got there. So no. My allegiances can't be bought.
I love it. Okay. Any other baseball observations from you? Because I'm loving this.
No. I want to hear about your soccer stuff, because this is I'm gonna love this.
All right. So St. Louis City SC, which is going to be our MLS team here in St. Louis, invited me to go to Kansas City with them for the Kansas City San Jose game as kind of a scouting trip. So that there was a few people that were invited to go so that we could see the stadium and kind of get a grasp on what they did and what's going to be different about our stadium here in St. Louis. And also really, Steve, to learn about supporters and learn about the supporter section, because that is a big deal and something that's very unique to soccer and to MLS, right? And it was so cool. It was so much fun. I got so hyped being there because I cannot wait for that to happen in St. Louis. St. Louis is going to go nuts for this team. And I thought that Kansas City had a beautiful stadium. It's I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very well done. And it's just, there was, I think, 18 and change that are in the stadium, which is, not a small amount of people, but it felt so intimate. The way the seats are set up in a soccer stadium, particularly this one, there's not a bad seat in the house. And it just really felt like you were right on top of the pitch, right on top of the field. And even one thing that I had seen on TV, but didn't really grasp until I got there, was how close fans are to the actual field, like especially the supporter section in the corner there. If a guy goes for a corner kick, there's people standing right there that can be screaming at him and heckling in his face. I could not believe that people were allowed to get so close to the players. But the supporter section there is called the Cauldron. The stadium is called Blue Hell. Welcome to Blue Hell, which I think is very cool. And it's just amazing to me how dedicated people are to their cities and to their teams, that they want to be supporters. And they cheered, as you know, the entire time. They're chanting. They have all these little nuances that make them who they are as supporters. But more importantly, they set the tone. They dictate the energy in the stadium. And it was very cool to see them. They had the drums going. When Sporting KC scored a goal, they had the blue smoke that went off. They have different chants that they do all the time. It was very cool. And I cannot wait to see what St. Louis builds. It's going to be great.
Does St. Louis City FC, do you guys have a nickname yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Any, I guess we don't want to, we don't want to break any news here, so I guess I won't give anything away. But that's important too. I was just curious about that, because Sporting KC, like getting back to them, they're one of the early, if not like original members of MLS, right? They're an OG team, and they have a great supporter group, which is about as important as like, you get like, who are the players on the field, and then like, what's your supporter situation like? Because that dictates how hard it is to play at your stadium. And Sporting KC, that's a place where a lot of the U.S. men's national team games are played, because it's such a great soccer environment, and the stadium's awesome. So I'm pumped that you got to go there and experience that, because, there are some MLS stadiums aren't like that. Like I live like in the Northeast where I live, there's the New England Revolution, who play at Gillette, which is it's a terrible place, to be quite frank, to watch a soccer game. Terrible.
I'm sure.
Absolutely terrible. I'm sure soccer games should not be in football stadiums, period. Yeah. End of story. Also, I think sometimes they have turf too, which you should never have turf in soccer. It always has to be natural grass, because sliding is impossible. So Sporting KC does it that way. And then actually the NYCFC plays in Yankee Stadium, and there's like a baseball diamond in the middle. It's like, it's a cool experience, but it's not a real soccer experience. Sporting KC is a real freaking soccer experience, about as good as it gets in the entire States. I mean, you go Sporting KC, probably Seattle, Dallas, I know, is good. LAFC has been very good. Shout out to our guy Max Bretos. There are a few others that I'm definitely forgetting, but
doesn't Seattle play?
They actually do play
at Seahawks play,
but that place fills up like a Seahawks game, and it is loud.
Also, I went to a Seahawks-Rams game, I think in 2012. They played on New Year's Eve, and I had a friend who worked for Nordstrom and lived up there, so I went to visit her and go to the game. And the way that they have the overhang. Obviously, is it called Quest anymore?
It used to be Quest. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever it's called now. The stadium in Seattle. I don't even know what it's called. We should Google that. Steve, you want to Google that while I'm talking? Thank you. But they have those overhangs in the stadium that trap the sound. So even if it isn't completely full, like I was in the broadcast booth for the Rams radio network, because that was what we did, and the ground felt like it was shaking. It was so loud in there. They obviously have the 12th man. They called them the 12. So even though it might not be a perfect soccer stadium, I bet it feels so loud and feels so energetic in there.
It is. And because unlike Gillette, you're closer to the pitch than you are on at what it's called Lumen Field, which
Lumen. I knew they changed the name. I knew
it used to be something different though. It was, because we said what, Quest? It's not
Quest.
It was then it was CenturyLink, and now it's Lumen.
The link.
Yep, the link. There you go. So yes, it's kind of an outlier, because it is a great spot, even though it's in a football stadium. Portland Timbers, another great experience. Every time they score a goal, there's this guy that like saws off a huge piece of the tree, and it's incredible. It's amazing. And I would say soccer, like the experience of being a supporter and knowing the chants and being involved in the drum beating and like the players clapping, after they come off the field because they're, thanking you for like all the support, all the game. It's unlike any sport, professional sport for sure. I mean, the closest thing it is probably college football, something like that, or college basketball. Right. But I'm glad to get to go to Kansas City specifically, just because they have a absolutely top notch fan experience. And I've never been, I just heard about it.
Well, don't worry. We're going to get you to St. Louis in 2023. So their supporter section in St. Louis, ours is going to be, I think, double the size, which is going to be awesome.
Brag alert.
And don't worry. I happen to know there is going to be some things from a construction standpoint that are going to make it very loud and very visually appealing. So I think it's going to be very top notch here in St. Louis. But, we kind of have an advantage because we're starting from scratch and we get to see what works some places and what didn't necessarily work other places. But it's going to be, I do have one thing though. The way you said baseball was too long. I do have one thing about the soccer experience that I wasn't super into. No, it was not too short. Okay. I actually prefer games that have a clock. Which is crazy because I love baseball, but I like to plan my day. So I like to know going in how long this is going to take me, which is crazy because I'm a baseball fan. But they did this amazing thing pre-game where the supporter section, you remember when Iowa had the sick child at the hospital that would wave and they would do that? They did something similar because their stadium is tied to the children's hospital. So they had, a kid of the game who was at the hospital and he was on the Jumbotron and everyone was like cheering for him. And then they did this amazing intro video. They had all of these fireworks going off. I was so hyped. And I kept saying to the people I was with from City SC, I'm like, where are they going to run out? Where are they going to, is it in the corner? Like, I need to know where to look. And then they just walk out.
Yeah.
They don't run out.
Oh, see, I like that.
It felt so anticlimactic
because
I'm like, everyone is cheering, going bananas. And then they just like slowly walked out of right down. I think it's at it's
right in the middle. Yeah.
Right in the middle. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Right in the center of the field. Yeah. So now that's probably much cooler. I would imagine they're not doing this right now, but usually there's like a quote unquote mascot with you, which is just a little kid dressed in a full jersey. And that's why they do that. And it's a really cool part of the game. I assume they're not doing that because of COVID maybe.
Yeah.
So that's why, but also soccer's not the kind of sport where, all that music plays and you can want to run through a wall. Like
football. I don't know. I was ready for them to run out. I'm like, let's go.
It's the beautiful game. It's not like, it's not a fighting game. It's Joga Bonito. Come on. Like that's what it is. So
it is Joga Bonito, but I also need that energy to stay up. I need Mooey energy.
And no, I get that.
If you're a soccer player and you're going to run the whole game, don't you want to run out of the tunnel and really get that adrenaline going?
Well, no, because you're going to run like 5 miles total probably throughout the entire game, especially if you're like a midfielder. But no, I like that. And I see here's the difference between Europe and America is that soccer. I mean, there's many differences, but I'm talking specifically about soccer. In Europe, that pregame music is not a hype track. It's like the Everton one is like this guy playing a flute.
What the hell?
Yeah, I think Manchester City's, I want to say, is like an Oasis song. They're not.
Well, Oasis is big in the soccer world. They did Wonderwall, I think, as their I don't know if it's their goal song, maybe.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they were telling me in the press box that this is something that a lot of soccer clubs do is they play Oasis. It's a thing.
I think I forget if it's Noah or Liam. One of them is a big Manchester City fan. So Manchester City plays their song. But anyway, I say that in Europe, they don't have hype songs to come out of the pitch to. What? That's a very American thing. That's a very like hype up. Like most of them are these old school, almost like medieval songs, and they just slowly walk out and they clap and whatnot. Some of them are different, but for the most part, like it's just an older vibe over there. So that's the melding of two sort of cultures. That's the melding of American sports culture and European soccer culture.
Yeah, I forget what song it was. Maybe it was like a Kanye Jay-Z Watch the Throne track. It was something like that they were playing, and I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, and you're ready to like fight someone.
I was so hyped. Yeah. And then it was like, do, we're coming out.
Yeah, hey.
At midfield.
They pick up the ball off the thing. They shake the referee's hand.
I was like, this is so civilized. Run through the tunnel with the fireworks shooting. Give me my Americanized entrance.
No, this is proper. This is a proper sport.
That was my only negative, but it was an awesome experience, and they did such a great job with that stadium. We walked around, we got the whole tour. The people at Sporting KC were amazing hosts for us, but they had this really cool bar that was, you had to have a certain ticket or a wristband to get in, but it overlooked the pitch, and it was like kind of a private area. It was like every area that we went to that they showed us was very cool in its own unique way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved it. I thought it was so cool, and I can't wait for it to happen in St. Louis.
The couple greatest sporting experiences of my life have all been soccer matches. One was USA Turkey it was a World Cup a World Cup warm-up game that was played at Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, which is the New York Red Bull, which is an MLS team. They have a great stadium, soccer specific, and it was awesome. The other one was it was USA. Is actually at Gillette, so it was a terrible place to watch the game, but it was another U.S. soccer game. I think it was USA Spain, and it's just incredible. Like the chanting, if you know the chants, and you're in the camaraderie with all the other people in the stands is unlike any sport. Like no one's doing that at a baseball game, no one's doing that at a basketball game, no one's doing that at a football game. The camaraderie of the supporters group, the fans, and how united everyone is in supporting this team. Is just unlike anything else. Did they have a tifo? Last question. Did they have a tifo? Do you know what a tifo is?
No, they might have. I don't know what that is.
They're like a giant, like a lot of times hand-drawn sort of like things that they raise up in front of the supporter shield right before the game.
I don't know if they raised it up, but they had a bunch of those above them in the cauldron.
Yeah. So usually they'll try to be something intimidating, like it'll be like a lion or something like swiping.
Yeah.
This giant thing that gets raised up right before the game. So it's meant to intimidate the other team. Which is really cool too. They don't do that at every game, but a lot of times they do.
One more thing that just prompted in my mind, and I want to make sure to tell you, I learned too how much communication and how involved the supporter group is with the team. That there are literally liaisons within the team that communicate things to the supporter groups or the supporter group. Because it's
the NFL's doing that. They don't give a shit about anybody.
Which I thought was incredible, because the supporter group will say, we are bringing our drum. We need somewhere to host it. This is where we're doing this. This is what we're thinking. And the team curates that experience for them, which I thought was amazing, because that does not happen in any other sport. It's here's our stadium, here's what you're going to get to eat, here's what we're going to play on the Jumbotron, and if you like it, great. If you don't, thanks for your money.
I remember I was so mad because it was a US game I wanted to go to that I went to, and I always used to bring my flag, which was just on like this massive pole, and it was a gigantic flag, and it was a liberty or death flag. This is before the Tea Party took over all the cool like Civil War and Revolutionary War flags. I would not fly that now, but I would bring it into the stadium, and like a bunch of my buddies, like one of them had a Don't Tread on Me, and there was a Come and Take It, like all those sick historic flags that again no longer can be used, but they wouldn't let us bring it in the stadium. I'm like, guys, you have to know this is soccer culture. You can't just deny us flags in the stadium. This is part of what the experience is about. So I was mad about that. So not every stadium has that.
Something?
I don't know. I think it was at Gillette actually, and Gillette obviously is not like the most soccer friendly experience that you can imagine, but it was fun otherwise. But the last point on that, if you ever watch, there's a great documentary called this should be an A+ content. It's called Sunderland Till I Die. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you. It's on Netflix. There's 2 seasons. It is one of the I actually don't really like sports movies or documentaries, but it's I think one of the best ones I've ever seen. It follows this team, Sunderland, who was in the Premier League a couple of years ago, but have since been relegated twice in a row and are now in the 3rd division of English soccer. And actually, both years they get relegated in the documentary itself. But the cool part about it is they show the behind the scenes. They show like the meeting, like how there's a couple of supporters meetings, right? Where all these fans could go sit at a bar with some of the players on the team and the executives from the team. And it's like a dinner, and they all like chat about shit that bothers them and think stuff they like. They'll be like, hey, we need this club to be better. Like we want you to make more signings. And like, they'll have they won't really have like an input, but they always can voice their opinions as fans, and the club has to listen to them. Otherwise, like, the supporters are all united together and obviously won't go to games or won't spend money on things. And it's such an incredible tight knit community, especially in England, some in Italy too. And I'm sure some other countries, but especially in England, where these small town clubs, you could make it to the Premier League, right? And they're still doing like these almost like meet and greets with some of the biggest stars in the world at some random pub down the street. It's a really cool experience.
Well, speaking of that, NA Plus content, Ted Lasso. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso, which is incredible. I rewatched season 1 in anticipation of season 2, and they meet at the local supporters pub all the time.
That's right.
Ted Lasso.
Yep. That's a good example.
I think is very cool, but also realistic.
Yeah, that's actually almost exactly what it was like in Sunderland Till I Die, and they're very similar type clubs. Yeah.
Well, and then remember in Ted Lasso season 1, this isn't giving anything away if you haven't seen it, the team goes there for a team meeting at the local pub that has the supporters there. And she says, you basically have 15 minutes to have this meeting, because once everybody finds out you're here, everybody's going to swarm the place.
Exactly.
And they did,
exactly. Like Barcelona's not doing this, but a lot of the smaller clubs do.
Well, speaking of groups of people, so Rudy sent me this fascinating article that he found about friendships, and specifically friendships post-pandemic. So Steve, since you've read it, I've looked over it, but break this out for people on how friendships have shifted during this time.
Yeah, so it's on Axios, which I think does a good job of writing sort of short form, very easy to consume think pieces, articles, whatever you want to call them. And this one caught my eye, and it's called One Big Thing, the Friendship Crisis. The number of close friendships that Americans have has declined over the past several decades. And they have a graph basically showing 1990 compared to 2021. And in 1990, 33% of people said that they had 10 or more very good friends, close friends, not counting relatives, close friends. So a third of the population of this country said they had 10 or more close friends. Okay. That seems high. And now that's dropped to 13%. And if you look at the graph, essentially, 12% now say they have none currently in 2021 compared to only 3% in 1990.
12%. So we're dropping on one side and growing on the other.
Exactly. So basically, people are having less friends, essentially, is what this graph is saying. There are less close friends, or people that are considered close friends in their circle compared to 30 years ago. And I'm just looking, you go down this list, 2021, for example, 12% of people said they have no close friends. 7% said they have one, 13% said they have two, 17% said they have three, all the way up to 10 or more. Now is only 13%. In 1990, anywhere from 1, 2, or 3, those were all in the single digits of percentage. Most people had 5, 6, 10 or more friends, close friends in 1990 compared to, now obviously it's much less. And I don't know if that's surprising, not surprising. And they have a couple of theories as to why, which we can get to in a second, but I don't know, what are I have always been very vocal that I have 4 close friends, and that is all that I am capable of having. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. If I had a 5th friend, I would be stretched too thin and I wouldn't be a good friend. I know my friend limit. So it's 4. It's always been 4. And I don't have, it's like Drake, no new friends. I don't have any room, man. I'll be friendly with someone, but they're not going to be a close friend to me. I know what my cap is. So are you in the same group? You seem like you probably have more friends than me, though. More close friends.
Well, all your friends, your core friends, are in the same group.
We are all in the same group, correct?
Yes. So I think that I have more than 4 close friends, and they're in different groups, if that makes sense. I have one really close friend, and so I'm in this group, and within this group of friends, I'm closer with one person. And within this group of friends that I have, I'm closer with one person.
So all those people aren't your close friends, though?
So they are, but I would say in this group of close friends, I have one best friend, or I have 2 best friends.
Well, that's another thing that comes up is best friends. We'll get to that in a second. But then, all right, if you were to put a number on the amount of close friends that you have, like I said, mine's 4. Yours is what? 10 or more? Is it 10 or more?
I would say 10 or more.
Okay. I think this is a male-female thing too.
I say close friends, and my definition of that is someone that I speak to a lot, and someone that if something went down in my life would show up, and vice versa. Because I think there's a lot of people that you're friendly with, a lot of people that you kiki with, a lot of people that are fringe friends or even acquaintances that if shit went down in your life, you're not picking up the phone to call them. There's a certain smaller number of people that if things go down, you're calling them. And I would say let me mentally count really quick.
10 seems like so many. You're definitely on your second hand at this point.
I got to 8 very easily, and I
So you're
forgot
above 10.
her. I'm about 10.
So you're one of the 13% of people who have 10 or more friends. I would be 11% of people have four friends like me. Now, this goes on to say, like, new research shows that Americans have fewer friends than in the past and are less likely to have a best friend. I don't have a best friend. I don't. Do you?
I do. Yeah. I have
one person who is your best friend. I mean, like, I'm not
yeah.
trying to be like sappy here, but like Maddie's my best friend, but that doesn't really count.
Oh,
Right. No, I'm
I
not
love
trying to do
that.
this because like
No,
this
that's
is
so sweet.
no, but it
That's
just
so
is.
sweet.
That's the way it is. Like but my guy friends, the core group of 4, I wouldn't put any of them higher. We're all kind of equal. It's weird. When I had my wedding, I didn't have a best man at my wedding. I had guys do different roles, right? I had one guy had the ring, one guy set up the bachelor party. Like, I gave them all different things to do, and I didn't have a best man because I just didn't think it would be fair to pick one because they're all on level playing field.
So if I ever get married, wouldn't want bridesmaids because I don't want to say
you have like 100
people are more important than anyone else. But I do have one singular best friend that I would like to either stand up there or do something within the wedding.
A reading or something,
or at the end, give a speech. Like, there's one person that knows that they're going to get the call and that's what they need to do. But it's hard for me because I have friends from high school. I have girlfriends from college. I have friends from post-college. I have really close friends from work. I have my cousins that I'm super close to. There's, I have another group of girlfriends that I've made in adulthood that I'm super close with and get together with all the time. And I often think, yes, your friends that you were friends with in grade school, high school, childhood, college, you are bonded together forever. There's time on your side. But sometimes friends that you make in adulthood stick more because you're fully formed when you meet them and you're making a choice. Like, I have a million options of people to hang out with and I choose you.
See, I know I'm in the minority. My friends are all high school friends, and we've just always been on the same page for life. Now, one of them lives in Chicago, one of them is in Boston. Like, we've moved all over and have different things. And we all are not the same. Like, we typically have the same interest, but like, politically we're in different places, like whatever. And I actually like that in a friend group because we're not all the same. We're all very different. We bring different things to the table. So when we have a group chat about issues or things or whatever, it actually is popping because we have most people that check all the boxes. Right. So I know I'm in the minority of that, but again, I wouldn't say that any of them are my best friend. But as I continue to read here, because there's a couple of bullet points that I want to go over that are good too. So they say, why does this matter? At a time of excruciating mental and societal stress, this is another sign that we're breaking apart, and the friendship drought could get even worse with more people working remotely or hybridly. I think that has a lot to do with it, right? We've obviously seen less people in 2020 and 2021 than we normally do.
Sure.
I don't know if you would necessarily lose friends during that time, but you're certainly not really making any friends over Zoom calls. I mean, maybe some of you are. Congrats to you out there, but the vast majority of us are not making friends over Zoom.
No.
And there are a couple findings here. This is from a survey from the Center on American Life. Our number of close friends has declined considerably from 30 years ago, when 33% of adults reported having 10 or more close friends, not counting close relatives. Now 13% say that. In 1990, 75% of people said they had a best friend. This year, just 59%. So that's that's also dropped again. And they want to say, like, we realize the importance of friendship. We're not just investing our time. Where our vulnerabilities, our interests, and all these things come out when we're making friends. But I wonder if this what do you think this has to do with? Because I kind of think this is just social media. I wonder if this has a lot. And we've talked a lot about social media on the show, about, like, we were talking about before, how annoyed we get with Twitter at times and how much we think it's just volatile and not a good place to be. I mean, just using the Simone Biles stuff, for example, that went down, where she, basically said she was having mental health issues and she stopped, her, what was it? I forget what the event was, but it was a team event at the ball at the Olympics. And, you have people on one side screaming, oh, she's a quitter, she's terrible, and the other people saying she's a hero, this is the greatest accomplishment of her career. And the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle. But I think because of social media, we butt heads with so many people on a daily basis. I wonder if it's harder for us to actually make friends now, especially online. I mean, you could do it in person, but we're so combative now. And I think we're more combative than we were in 1990.
I agree with that. I also think about us in high school. if you had no plans on a Saturday, you're going to call up your friends and see what they're doing. You want to go hang out with people.
Yep.
You don't know what they're doing. So you have to call them and see what's up. Now on a Saturday, if you wake up and you don't have plans, you open up your Instagram and you're like, Ceruti's at the farmer's market. Maddie's at a workout class. It's almost like social media has made us voyeurs into other people's social lives. And I think that sometimes is detrimental because you waste so much time watching other people do stuff that you might not take the time to reach out to other people. How many times has somebody said, hey, I went to the Yankees Red Sox game, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw that on Instagram. I saw it on Instagram. You don't have to call people to catch up with them and then make plans to hang out because you see what everyone is doing 24/7. So there's no need to call people and catch up because you're seeing what's happening in real time.
Yeah, but you're not I don't know if that's true because you're not catching up with those people. We're talking about your close friends, the people that you would be going to these events with, not the people that you would be like, what's up in your daily life? Like I've never been and never will be hey, let me call you to catch up. I'm just not. I'm sorry. It's just not in my personality.
Stop it.
I don't like phone calls.
Not even your core.
I keep in touch with people. Well, we're in touch on a day-to-day basis. We know what's going on in each other's lives because we're very open. And it's kind of like this text chain group chat bubble that we have. Where everybody's, and there are like subsects of that, which is interesting too, like where three of us will be in one, and just based on like other interests. And the funny thing is too, like we 100% talk shit about each other behind everyone's back, but that's part of being a friend too. And I think everybody knows that. And I don't know, that's just part of like being in that friend group and being in our friend group, and it's fine because we all kind of have thick skin at this point. But I don't know, I think your thing about catching up with people, I don't think you're catching up with good friends. I think you're catching up with fringe friends more than you would people that you're more likely to go to the baseball game with a close friend, not catch them up on how you went to a baseball game.
Well, if I hadn't seen one of my friends in a week, I would normally call them and say, what's up? What have you been up to? Oh, yeah.
All of your 10 friends, your 10 friends.
I'm a phone call girl though. I'm a phone call person.
All of your 10 friends, you're a weekly call check-in person with.
I have a list of people that I call every week. I go on a walk almost every day, and I call someone almost every single day.
That's exhausting to hear.
But I am a bad texter. I am a notoriously bad texter. I look down at my phone. Let me tell you how many texts I have right now, okay? The red bubble says 32. I have 32. Oh my God, you're one of those people. No, that's just from the past 3 hours. I'm constantly getting texts about the show, or I'm on all these group chats. And you know what I do? I don't even read them. I don't even read them half the time. I am notoriously bad at text. So if I want to catch up with you, I will call you and we'll actually have a real conversation. Well, this development, I guess we can say, and people's friend circles is scary to me, Steve, because I think a lot of people post-pandemic have gotten very comfortable with isolation. I think at the beginning it was very jarring for people, but I think now, I mean, as someone that has a very active social calendar, probably too active, I need to learn how to say no more. It's not even a flex. I have a hard time saying no. So many friends.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's not my fault I'm so popular.
No. Try to make fetch work. All right.
Crunch your penis. Yeah. Anyway, I have friends who were single during the pandemic and spent a lot of time alone. And now when they go out, they get very overwhelmed and very exhausted by it. And they just have gotten comfortable in their life alone at home and really through social media in a lot of ways. Like that's their connector. They talk to a lot of people on Instagram, their Instagram chat and things like that. And I wonder if that's something that we're going to see continue. And that's kind of a sad thought.
It is sad. It's funny though. I have almost the exact opposite reaction. Like I'm very introverted, right? Before the pandemic, I would go out, but I wasn't like the social butterfly. I would typically, a good night, Friday night for me would be like at home watching a movie, eating some popcorn, having a drink. And awesome. I have sort of found that because of the pandemic now that things are sort of open again, although who knows where we're going now, but I wanted to go out more. I was like seeking out friendship and people that weren't even in my circle of four, to be like, I'd be like, Maddie, let's go hang out with these people. And I would never do that before. So it's almost had like the reverse effect on me, which is very strange. I also think that because I'm a dude and I play video games, I was able to like digitally hang out with my friends a lot by playing Call of Duty or FIFA or whatever online. And I would still be able to talk to them like at least once a week or so. So I had that outlet. But for people that didn't have that, and certainly obviously were single or, were in a place where they didn't have a lot of friends or whatever, didn't have the video game or digital assets that I did. What's up? Shout out FIFA. It's actually good for me for one thing. I could see why that would be a really big problem. I think you're onto something. I think people are probably now comfortable and almost feel weird assimilating back into society.
I went to a bridal shower recently and I was pooped by the end. And I said to one of my girlfriends that was there, I go, I forgot how exhausting it is to make conversation with people.
Yeah.
People that aren't in your core group, where normally in situations like that, I love catching up with people and I love the chit chat. I was so tired afterwards. And I'm like, I haven't done this in a long time. It's exhausting. It's like performative, right? You're on. And I know that I do that for 3 hours every day, but it's a different kind of on when you're in person. And I think for some people, they have an experience like that and they're like, I don't have it in me right now to do that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like a muscle that you need to work out and it hasn't been worked out in a while and you're not strong anymore. Basically is how that works.
Yeah, we need to build it up again. But you know what the good news is, Steve, is that everyone that listens to this podcast, everyone in the Small Talk family, the Shelleys, we're all friends. So
yeah, no, hopefully we provided some friendship through some weird times. Not that I'm not trying to sit here and say that we were like killing it and saving the world, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of people say this podcast is just like friends talking, and hopefully that was at least somewhat helpful in what was a weird 18 months for everybody.
And you know what? You know that we're really friends here, all of the Shelleys, because we get pushback from things. So we got messages from people last pod that did not like that we said we would not go for the 5'7" guy as opposed to the big guy.
I know. Do we want to get into that? I don't even know.
No, we don't have time. Maybe another time.
Hard out.
But I like that people reach out to us. They're like, I love the pod, but you guys need to give the 5'7" guy more love. I get a lot of hate for saying I like big guys, and I've never been with a big guy. Certainly that's not the case now. And I just think that it's kind of a joke, people. Like, it's tongue in cheek, the attractive thing. You don't need to send me hate because I said I would like a big and tall guy.
Yeah, it would be one thing if I was like, I only like 10s, but you're like, I like bigger guys. Like, what is that even? That's not even, I don't know. It's just different. But honestly, I actually don't mind people calling us out. I don't mind, like, honestly, keep us in check. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I definitely fuck shit up and I probably get things wrong. I mean, remember everybody got mad at me because I said you were thotting out. Like, I don't know, maybe it was the wrong line. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, so my bad, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like malicious, but it's okay. You can call us out. Hit us up on Instagram, tell us, hey, this was stupid, but we like the show.
That's what I appreciate, though, is because that sparked a good conversation, because you said I was thotting out in a positive way.
Yeah, I thought it was a compliment.
People took it in a negative way.
Yeah, so there you go. Isn't that 2021 in a nutshell right there? But no, seriously, I don't it's all good. If you think something's stupid or you think we screwed up or whatever, or if you like the show, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. You can find us on Instagram at Steve_Ceruti, correct? On Instagram?
Yeah, I think so. I always forget.
And at Ceruti on Twitter. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Smallmon, even though I'm not very active. So
uniformity. There you go.
Heads up on that. If you want to tweet me, I will not respond.
We'll get back to you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Eventually we will get there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Steve and I will be back in action next week. But until then, steer clear of the t-shirt cannon.
And baseball's back. Kind of.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.